Well, I've been thinking again. And sometimes that gets me in trouble, but sometimes it works out pretty cool. I think this is one of the pretty cool ones. Let me show you, see if you catch something. See if you notice anything different down here. Do you notice something missing? Well, it's supposed to go right there. I'm supposed to have a big alternator sitting there, but it's missing. But yet I still have a belt. See that belt's down there? It's routed, it's tight, and it works. So what I've done here, I think I've created the world's first Workhorse 8.1 Vortec alternator bypass. Successful bypass. And it does work. And so let me back up and tell you what got me on. Well, one reason I got my alternator out is I'm doing some research on alternator options as far as rebuild versus replacement, get new or whatever. So that'll be in a future video. That's where I got the alternator out to begin with. But while I was doing some research, I came across this article here on the RV2 forum. This gentleman here, Yellow Duster, he made a comment. He recently, just this year, on his Workhorse W20, same as W24 on the alternator. Anyway, he's got the 145 amp alternator. He thought he was doing a good thing. He was going on a trip, and I guess he wanted to make sure he was on a successful trip, and he went and had his alternator rebuilt. He had new bearings installed in it. Put it back on, took off on his trip, and the alternator or the bearings failed and left him stranded. So I got to thinking, well, if that happened to him, dang, it could happen to me. It could happen to you. So I got to thinking, what could we do if our alternator bearings failed? Because, you know, a lot of you already have the AC bypass, the air conditioner bypass. That's been around for years. And it's maybe it's a little bit more common. You know, if this bearing on the front of your air conditioning clutch right down here, if that bearing fails, you're going to be stranded. It'll fail. Sometimes it damages the belt when it comes apart. And you're not driving anywhere until you can locate and install another air conditioning compressor, which is not always easy to find. Alternators might be a little easier, but compressors not so much. That's why we did this. And I got a video, and I'll link to it, showing exactly how to install the shorter belt and this different pulley. You can install that in 15 minutes and get yourself back on the road. So I'm always trying to come up with solutions for us if we're traveling and we have a breakdown, how we can avoid a tow and expensive bill, so we just fix it ourselves. Especially if you're traveling to Alaska, things like this you need to have. Imagine if that happened to you in the middle of between the towns in Alaska, you're traveling long distance, and you're looking at a giant tow bill. It'd be awful. But anyway, back to my alternator, because like I said, I'll link to this process how you do that, and then I'm making this new video on the alternator bypass to kind of give you an ideal. And I think I did a better drawing here. Okay, so here's the air conditioner bypass. So that's your air conditioning pulley. If it craps out on you, you just put the shorter belt on it. Comes up here and comes around. Now this pulley has to be changed, because if you don't change it, there's a bolt that will rub. I think there's an alternator mounting bolt that will rub. You have to use a little bit smaller pulley. But I have links to both of these parts on the video that I will link to shortly, or below this video. All right, so that's that, and it works. I'll show you in the video that it actually works. Now here's what I've done tonight, and it works also. So, and now with this, it's even easier because you don't have to change any pulleys. All you got to do is find the correct shorter belt. And that took me 3-4 trips to the parts store. Finally found the right belt, but the local parts store, they want like $30-something for a belt. I found the same belt on Amazon for $17, so that's the belt I'm going to link to. So for $17, you can have a really cheap insurance policy. So if your alternator craps out on you, you can quickly get back on the road. Now you may think, well, wait a minute, how can I drive the thing with no alternator? My battery's going to go dead anyway. But remember, we're in an RV, so we have an onboard generator. So what we got to do is start the generator, and the generator will charge our battery back up for us. So you can keep on traveling, get to the next town, get your new alternator, get yourself going, keep you from being stranded. But you can see how easy it is here. Of course, here we go. We've got the water pump pulley. Here's your harmonic balancer. This is your tensioner pulley that keeps it tight, spring loaded. This is the alternator. So if your alternator bearing craps out on you, you just install this shorter belt that I've got installed right now, and I'll put a link to it below this video, and then just route it this way, just like that, and it works just fine. I'll show you here in just a second. And here's another picture giving you a little bit better diagram of what we're doing. So, Oh, something else I would recommend, I'll put a link to this too. I'll have a lot of links below here. I recently came across the correct pulley because I carry individual bearings, so I could replace them if I had to, but also keep the whole pulleys here. And so that way, if you crap out an idler bearing, you can quickly replace it. Like I said, I keep these individual bearings with me. And so, but that can be kind of if you're at home, these are easy to press in and press out with a vise. If you got the exact right size socket and you get on the outer edge, you can drive it out with a hammer, but you got to be careful because if you mess up, you're going to ding up the seal. But I do keep individual bearings. I'll put a link to those. But it's a whole lot easier if you just stock these. But I recently came across the correct part number for the small one. The larger one is up top here. That one right there. The smaller one is way down there on the idler, the tensioner arm. And if you look it up in your parts book, the tensioner arm, they want to say the whole assembly. But I finally found the part number for the smaller pulley. And I think those are like, $17, $19 a piece. Fairly reasonable. Something easy to put in your spare box of spare parts. Oh, I need to mention, I know this works on the W22 and the W24. I don't know if it'll work on the P32 chassis, because on the P32 chassis, you have a different diameter of power steering pulley. So if somebody does some experiments out there, you can kind of maybe get it figured out and see which one it is. I just went to the parts store and grabbed several different belts till I got it dialed in. Oh, and something else I learned, when you look at a lot of these belts have this part number in here, that's the millimeters. So it's 2,425 millimeters in a length. And then you can, of course, you can cross that over to inches if need be. But a lot of belts are measured by millimeters. And I'm trying to remember what this one is. I'll put notes about it, what exact size it is, and a link to it, which one works. So I guess, what else do we need to do here? I guess at this point, we need to start this up and just to prove to you that it does work. So let me get situated here. So before I start this up, start making a bunch of noise, because I'm going to start the engine first, and then I'll start the generator. But you got to remember, whenever your ignition key is in the on position, you have a solenoid like on most Winnebagos, most RVs. You got some sort of device that when the ignition key is in the on position, as you're driving down the road, both battery banks are tied together, and it's done through a solenoid like this. So when the key is on, 12 volts is applied to this small terminal. This solenoid closes and connects these two large lugs. One lug will go to the house batteries, one lug will go to the engine starting battery. So as you're traveling down the road, both are being charged up. So in our scenario, it's kind of just like it's the reverse. So as we're driving down the road, we have no alternator in this situation, but the generator will be running. So the generator will be charging up the house batteries, which will in turn charge up the engine starting battery. So let's see if this works. Let's see if we get started here. Now you can see my light is on because I got no alternator. It'll fuss, it'll beep at you too. So if you're driving down the road and you see this light and it's beeping at you, you know your alternator just went out on you. Alright, so we're at 12 volts. Alright, now let's go back and start the generator. Of course, remember, if we don't start the generator, this voltage is slowly going to drop. Okay. Alright, let's give it a second for the transfer switch to kick in. There we go, we got power. Now let's see what it looks like up front. Okay, AC 12.4, 12.5. So we're getting voltage back in the battery. So I don't know how long you could drive this way. At least to get you to the next town to get yourself an alternator, get yourself off the road. So I think that's a pretty cool trick. And you see the belt running nice and cool. Running with no alternator. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Let's go under the RV and we'll show you something else. Alright, well, I'm under the RV. Just want to kind of show you how it's routed. Because you got the, oh, well, this is handy too. I keep that taped under here. So I've had that there for years. In case you snap your belt, you know, you quickly understand the routing and get it put back in place. But that's how it works. It works just fine, but I did learn myself a new trick on keeping this tensioner back out of the way. Let me get my ratchet and show you what I discovered. I've had this off many times. I can't believe it. I just now figured this out. Let me show you my little trick. Let me show you what I came up with. This is pretty cool, I think, because it's always a pain sometimes getting that tensioner pulley back out of the way and staying out of the way. So here's what I came up with. When you get the ratchet, it's almost straight up and down. Get it in the right spot, because that's key also. But you take this over here and get just past the frame rail, and then you can just twist it and slide it over top of it. And that keeps it, that way the tensioner is bottomed out all the way. And that gives you plenty of slack to get the belt loose. So I thought that was a pretty cool little trick. Before, I used to use this little zip tie. Then it just dawned on me this works a whole lot better. So I already had. I think this is like 1.5 inch PVC pipe. And actually I've used this thing for several different tools over the years. Let me show you here something else. Well, first of all, why this tool works so well is because it fits over this Pittsburgh socket just right. And I want to brag on this. I've had this thing for years, this little Pittsburgh Harbor Freight socket set, lifetime warranty. And almost any project I get into, this is all I need. Open this up. Now this little thing is here because these little sockets would fly out on me, wouldn't stay put. So I put that on there so they'd stay put. But a great little socket set for an RV. Just almost everything you need, with 3/8, ½ inch, and 1/4 inch drive ratchets. And but with this here, it works out just right to hold that socket out of the way. I don't know, it's probably about 12, 13 inches long maybe. In fact, the life of this, first of all, I made this years ago for the back of a kitchen sink to get that little wing nut loose. I made it for that. Then later on, I made, a bat wing antenna. If you ever want to remove that thing, there's a socket way up in the roof. It takes like a 6-inch special socket to get a hold of it. And it's a goofy size, like a 15/16 or something stupid. And so I didn't have a socket, didn't want to have time to order one, so I made one. I found out what size it was, and I had a nut that size, and I heated it up, and then I pushed it into this plastic. It kind of melted, made little notches. So that worked just right. I slid it up in there and was able to make a socket out of it. So that's why I keep that with me. But now it also works well to hold that ratchet out of the way and get that belt loose. Easy peasy. Make yours today. All right, I'm going to try to show this with one hand. Let's get a light on it here. There we go. Because the belt, I've got the tensioner pulley all the way back. And I'm going to remove the belt because I'm done with my little experiment here. And if you try to take it off these pulleys like this, you got the lip, you can't get the belt off because it's so tight. But if you do it either from the top pulley, the very top one, the idler, where it's smooth, you want to do it from a pulley that's got the smooth edges to it, so you don't have that hump to get over. So either put your last connection. Let me see if I can get my hand up in here. All right, I'm trying to get it where you can see something. All right, let's go the other way. All right. Okay, you see the water pump pulley there? Actually, the top idler might be the easiest. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be the top idler. Will be pretty easy. Can you see what I'm doing? Where's my finger? All right, there's the top idler. Just push it right off. That's all you got to do. So to put it on, you just do it in reverse. Get it all looped in there. Make your last connection on the top idler. Let's confirm that. Let's go up top and do it from the top, just to make sure I'm telling you right. Because the trick is, when you tug on it, you want to make sure this is lined up so it gets tied up in here. So let's go upstairs and see. Okay, let's see if we can do this in one take. So get the belt lined up on the air conditioning pulley. We're lined up on the power steering pulley. Now all we need to do is try to loop it over this top idler smooth pulley. Just like that. How easy that was. Now what I'm going to do is go down below and loosen up that ratchet. Let's do that. Alright, back under the RV. Belt, everything's all lined up, looking good. We'll just slide this back out of the way. There we go. I think I missed that. So you go. Just put the tension back on it. Don't let the ratchet hit you in the head. And there you go. Belt is installed. You're ready to get to the next town and get you an alternator and get back rolling. So I guess we'll end this video here. Don't know what else to say about this little project. I think for $17, it's a pretty cheap insurance policy. And again, thank you so much for watching. And like always, have a blessed day. See you, bye. A little more information for you. For some of you may have like a DC to DC charger, where maybe you eliminate this solenoid, because some people who have like lithium-ion batteries like we do, you don't want to load the alternator too hard, because lithium-ion batteries are like a sponge when it comes to electrons. It just soaks them right up. So your alternator can charge wide open at 100 plus amps without any rest. So some people put in a device to help lowers that charge. Instead of throwing out 100 amps, it may only throw 30 amps into the battery bank. Now, I'm not sure on something like that, you may need a jumper of some sort. I kind of have the same thing for ours, because I also have something like that. What's that right there? Lithium-ion battery management system. So that little device there, what it does, it creates, I think, a 15-minute duty cycle. So I'm driving down the road, the alternator will charge for 15 minutes, then rest for 15 minutes, then back on for 15 minutes. So because I have 300 amp hours a battery bank, it could really tax the alternator if I didn't have a device like this in here. But like everything else, I think, okay, if that device fails on me, and then as I'm driving down the road, I'm not going to charge up my batteries, I could quickly I got this little jumpers I made. I could quickly put a jumper on there, and that will charge up my house batteries as I'm driving until I get that item replaced. So let me show you how I made it here. It's just simple enough. Well, there we go. Right there it is. This is a little battery cable, come off a golf cart. Pretty heavy cable, plenty enough for charging current to go through. But that's what I made for my little plan B. Always need a plan B.